video, so I'm going to try and make a short one, right? So, the Toyota Prius, by 2006, it was a smashing success, and Toyota knew that it was going to win. Now, you may remember the Lexus Hybrid, the Lexus CT. It was made from 2012 to 2017-ish, late 2017. And you may think of this as the only Lexus hybrid, but I'm here to tell you there is a forgotten sedan which was made between 2010 and 2012 and is one of the most rarest cars you can buy. So, Lexus, it's not just some luxury brand like Nissan's Infiniti or Cadillac's Buick, if you can even call that luxury, considering it's just rebadging. Literally, all their models are rebadges for the most part. No, I think they're all actually rebadges. Anyway, so 2006, the Toyota Prius had this awkward hatchback shape, right? Lexus didn't want it, right? So Toyota and Lexus kind of operate, they're the same company, but they operate independent of each other because they both have different goals. Lexus want to make the most luxurious car, and if it ends up being expensive, that's okay. Toyota wants to make the most reliable car for pretty cheap. So the two companies often don't clash on a lot of models, right? Now, except for the Toyota Land Cruiser, which is so kick-ass that it's almost a Lexus in itself and the nicest Toyota model, all the other models, when they're rebadged to Lexus, are extremely different. This isn't your GM, Holden, Chevy thing, again, like I said, I have lizards. They need to be watered. Right now, they are being watered. I'll show you how I set that up in a different video. Anyway, so when they are rebadged to be Lexuses, their suspension is changed. They're made to be luxury. They're not just a cheap rebadge, right? This isn't your Holden Cruise. This isn't your GMC Terrain. No. These are standard good vehicles. So, in 2009, Toyota was coming out with a new Toyota Prius. And can I tell you that this new Prius on the exterior seemed like everything the older Prius was. But something was different. You see, Toyota engineered the frame differently. The first Toyota Prius had a hatchback frame. If you look at the frame, it was actually shaped like a hatchback. The new Toyota Prius had a different frame that could be converted to a sedan, because Lexus wanted a hybrid. That's right. Lexus was changing. In the 1990s, everything was about luxury. Lexus needed to be luxurious or they would fail. Then, once they had already got the popular vote, they were already the nicest luxury brand you can buy on the planet, for under $100,000, or several, then Lexus had already beaten the competition in terms of luxury, so now they needed to up the technology in their cars. So, when the 2010 Toyota Prius came out, Lexus said, yeah, we'll try that, we'll make something out of it. And we got the Lexus HS. That's right. What is this? Because this just looks like a Toyota Corolla. But actually, the 2010 Corolla was a different generation than the generation that you're probably thinking of. So, this was an extremely attractive car. You can see it has nice wheels, it's nice and silver, it has a nice attractive front, and it has good ground clearance. So why don't we see these on the road today? I mean, they look very attractive on the outside. I mean, look at it. Sunroof, wheels, looks like a classy Lexus, and it's a hybrid, which means it gets great gas mileage. Why don't we see these today? Because Lexus did this. Essentially, the Toyota Prius, if you don't know, from 2010, lovely picture by The Car Connection, had this swooping dashboard, right? The Green Car Reports. So you may say that this little swooping pattern is one piece, right? So it swoops down, and then this is entirely, the same piece, and it's all one big piece. But actually, this is its own piece of frame, and so is that. It's only connected via plastic. The metal actual frame in there isn't the same. They're not connected. You can take this off individually, separately from this, just taking a couple screws out. So when the Lexus HS came out, that means they didn't have to connect it. And since Lexus likes luxury, they didn't want to have one of those big swoopy dashboards because their elderly buyers wouldn't go for something so futuristic. So they went with something familiar. Large screen at the top, air vents, radio, iDrive, shifter. And they didn't connect it right there. Now, one thing about the Toyota Prius from 2006 is that it is off-center. If you look, you can see that this big bulge down here is slightly off-center from the dashboard. That's how the Prius has always been. That's how the 2010 was. It was just less noticeable, right? In the Lexus HS, because they made it come to a finite point to resemble some more of the Lexus products and to make it feel more as a cockpit and less fluid like the So it's, this was a cut through down here, so it made it feel very nice and airy in the interior. They wanted it to feel more like a cockpit so that elderly people could feel like it's the 60s again. You know what I mean? This was meant to be, you are trading in your 2009 Lexus ES for something new. It's 2012. By the way, they only made this car for 2 years. That's why it's so rare. And you want something nice. And then all of a sudden, you want to be up hipping with the kids again, and you saw Jennifer Aniston in her 2006 Prius. So, do you think that you should buy a Prius? No, that's a Toyota. You're not going to go for that. You're going to go for the Lexus HS. Lexus's new, super cool, fun sedan. That's exactly what they were aiming for. Comfortable leather seats, a lovely Lexus steering wheel with a normal gauge cluster. Normal enough to be familiar, but odd enough to be interesting. That's exactly what they were going for. So, yes, it's ugly. Yes, this should be connected. And yes, the heated seat controls are placed way farther down than they should be. But this car played an extremely important role. But before we talk about that, I'm going to tell you why none of these are on the road today. This weirdness actually scared off buyers. Elderly people went with the names that they knew. The Lexus HS wasn't familiar. Now, the Lexus ES was something that had been around since the 90s. It has dependability, reliability. The elderly people were familiar with that model. The Lexus HS was brand new. It had no history. It had no legacy. They didn't really want it. And the regular hybrid buyers, you may say, well, a lot of people bought Priuses back then. Why did no one buy the HS? Because the weirdness of the Prius was nice to them, right? The Lexus HS was so watered down for elders that it ended up being too watered down for the people that could actually afford it. And the cool people that bought the Prius, unless you were Jennifer Aniston, usually couldn't afford the ES. And because they didn't market it and just assumed that it would sell itself, they didn't sell. It unfortunately came to the conclusion, where we are today, of having just 3. That's right. If you live in where I live, which is the great state of Florida, you will find 3 Lexus HSs. That's right. That's it. That's it. That's all it is. But the Lexus HS was an extremely important car. Now, as I say that, you probably... For what? How could this at all be an important car? I mean, as you just said, it failed. It failed colossally. Because this car had to die so another car could live. That's right. These wheels, you've seen them multiple times. In fact, I've deliberately picked out pictures that use them. These may look like some sort of Corolla hatchback wheel or something, but what if I told you that a car was inspired directly and solely by this model? So, it's 2010. The Toyota Corolla is getting old, and the Lexus HS was failing so much, Lexus actually had to replace it with a CT, a completely different model. And it was called the CT, using 2 letters Lexus never really used before, except for the TX, because the HS sounded too much like the ES, therefore being confusing. So you're Toyota, you want to refresh the Corolla, and the ES just got canceled, which means, part spin! You want to design something radical, something clean. So you look at the styling that the designers had, and you find an old design for this car. That design ended up turning into the 2015 Toyota Corolla, so much that the wheels are actually the same. That's right, the Lexus HS wheels are the exact same wheels you will find on a Toyota Corolla from 2015. They're the same. Look at the styling cues. This is why this has a Lexus-like hourglass grille shape and design, because it was based off of the HS. That's why this car looked so beautiful. That's why this Corolla stands out across all the other generations as looking so modern and beautiful, because it was inspired by the HS. And for people who doubt me, they have the same wheels, for God's sakes. I mean, granted, these are diamond cut, but they're the same shape, they're the same dimensions, they're just the same wheels, just diamond cut and spray painted. That's it. And that is exactly why the Lexus HS was an extremely important vehicle for Toyota. Not for Lexus. In fact, for Lexus, it was a colossal failure. But for Toyota. Toyota learned exactly how to design a modern, sporty car from the Lexus HS. And they learned what wheels people liked and what wheels people didn't like. And you may say, well, if this car is so rare, why at all are you giving it a platform? Why are you talking about it? Because I believe, and I'm sure many other people do, This car was so underrated. You can see you can find many more for sale if you go countrywide. In fact, more people bought them than you think. Although, when you think about it, think of how many Toyota RAV4s you'll find if you just search Toyota RAV4. This is how many HSs you can find. 1 page full. That's right, 1 page. That's it. If you find one of these, good on you. Why? $9,000. That's almost half the price of a new Prius. Now, I say new Prius when you're like, well, this is more expensive than the 2010. Why would I go for this? A lot of people complained about the 2010 Toyota Prius having a very uncomfortable interior and a very uncomfortable ride. Remember what I said before? Every single Lexus sedan is changed from its Toyota variant. That's right. This is a true-born Lexus suspension. This is a true-born Lexus interior. Anything that you want better out of a Prius. You want the leather to be nicer. You want it to feel more luxury. The HS has. And it had it way before the modern Prius came out. In fact, another car that this car inspired was the Prius 4th generation for having that two-tone design like the doors on the HS. That's right, the HS inspired almost 7 different cars when you look at it. That's right. So with that, thank you for watching. Comment, like, and subscribe. And I don't know about you, the HS may be ugly on the inside, but I think once you dig past the ugly interior, it's actually a great find. And if you own one of these, kudos. You found something that works in a world of garbage.